Hey everybody, I got a video here for you, and this is by request. First of all, I just want to mention a few things. I have gone over to Facebook and looked at Facebook messages and activity on my page, and I appreciate some of those messages. Some of them look really interesting. Possible future videos in some of those messages, and I have responded to a few of you, and a few of you I will get back to in the very near future. And I have also seen some messages on YouTube, and I have really apologized to those people that I really should have got back to. And I see some messages that I should have returned, and I have just been kind of busy. I make my videos and then I kind of have to detach from YouTube. And I have seen all of my messages, and I see those people that wanted some information from me. So I just wanted to mention that. But this is by request, and I have just had a few messages and questions on Malta, the Maltese Islands, and if I ever made videos. And I have made a video or two, and one of them I talked, I think, and one of them I just showed you around. But I think there's something very interesting to bring up about this location. This is called Ggantija on this Maltese island right here. I don't remember the name of this particular island, but I think this is a very fascinating spot. And there are a few questions, I think, that should be raised. Now, this place here, there obviously was certain astronomical alignments to this place, as you see here. And here on the 3D view, you can see how it slopes off dramatically. And this would have been an ideal spot to do observation from. Clearly, you can see how it slopes off here. And this is up on a large mound. But what's really interesting, I think, about this place is if you really take a look at it and how this place is laid out, and I heard Hancock bring this up, I think, in a Joe Rogan interview, but we should really question the dating of this. Are these 4,000 or 5,000 years old, 5,500 years old, or do these go back a long, long time ago? And comparisons to Gobekli Tepe, Mr. Hancock raised, and I think those are excellent, and you can see how this place is laid out. Well, if you go over to this video I did here, there are certain similarities, and these pillars at Gobekli Tepe, as you can see in this video here, these pillars are very well preserved because Gobekli Tepe was buried. So these pillars are very well preserved. But over here on this Maltese island, let's go down and take a look. And there are entryways laid out like Gobekli Tepe here. But these monoliths here, and they have holes in them, and we are looking at probably holes that fitted something here originally. I don't think these were alignment holes. Maybe some of them could be, but if you look here, now you see here, this is a pillar at Ggantija. Is this what the Gobekli Tepe pillar would look like if it was, exposed to the elements for thousands of years? Are these what eroded Gobekli Tepe pillars would look like here? And this is the inside of that Maltese temple, Ggantija. And obviously we have ages and ages of erosion here. How much? I'm not really sure. But these pillars remind me a lot of Gobekli Tepe and how it's laid out. And let's look at one other place here. And here we have an area of the temple. Here are some very eroded pillars or columns. And you notice the level down here with the smaller stones. Well, if we go back to my Gobekli Tepe video, it's what we see down here. We see columns, and then we see this lower level of smaller stones right there at the bottom of the screen. Let me just blow this up here. But right down here, we have the columns, and then we have the smaller stones. And then back here on Google Earth, that's pretty much what we see here. So I think questions should be raised. Does this go back 10,000 years? And let's look at this from overhead. Is there any alignments that we can see? Now, here we have an alignment directly north. Is there any alignments we can see? Well, the one possibility I see is the summer solstice sunrise coming right up this bottom entryway. And if it was aligned to the summer solstice sunrise, that sunrise would shine on the temple wall. We'll go down and take a look at this right here. But if that is indeed the case, then this part of the temple, and I guess they are doing some work here, but right back here, the summer solstice sunrise would have shown here, and this would have been one of the most important parts of the temple if that is indeed aligned to the summer solstice sunrise. But are these big columns just like the columns we see at Gobekli Tepe, except these were exposed to thousands of years of exposure to the elements? Well, I think this place has a lot of earmarks of Gobekli Tepe. I do not see any animals carved, but these things have been eroded. And there is some strange marks on a few of these pillars. Does this have any connection to Gobekli Tepe? Well, I think that is a question that should be asked. No, I did a couple videos a couple years ago, and this is on that same Maltese island, I believe. And there was a couple sites I went over. Ggantija was one of them. But these Cartpaths here, that's how they are described. Really, there has been no adequate answer for these. And I haven't really researched this lately, but I'd appreciate any comment. But that, I think, is a true mystery. And this is the other video I did. But the similarity to how these places are laid out with the little entryways and the pillars, and the entryway and the pillars and Gobekli Tepe, I just think this raises a whole bunch of questions that should be asked. Is Ggantija just as old as Gobekli Tepe? Well, I think it is worth asking the question. This certainly looks like that in ways, the columns and the structure of the smaller stones and how this is all laid out. But I just thought I would bring this up. This is Ggantija. This is a massive temple made out of really megalithic stones. There is a certain history written. I am not too familiar with it. I know Megalithomania UK did a video on this site, but this could be very, very old. And could there be other stuff buried around here? Well, I see some faint possibilities of that, but I just wanted to make a quick video. I think Graham Hancock raised an excellent question. Is this somehow connected to Gobekli Tepe? It seems to be very similar. Hope you thought that was interesting, and you all have a very nice day.